All righty, everyone. It is time for the webinar, noon exactly. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We want to welcome you to our webinar on 8+ ways you are wasting money on Microsoft Office. My name is Alina Atkins, and I am the Growth Marketing Manager at Netronom. Today, we're going to dive into some common mistakes and inefficiencies that can lead you to unnecessary expenses when using Microsoft Office. So our goal today is to help you spot these issues and give you some practical tips to save money and get the most out of your investment. But before we dive in, let's introduce our speakers. Zane Earlywine has been our account executive at Netronom for 4 years, and he currently serves in the 130th Airlift Wing in Charleston. Paul Page is our solutions engineer at Netronom and comes with over 30 years of IT industry experience. And I will be your host and speaker. I graduated with my MBA at Marshall University and have 5 years of marketing with B2B and B2C organizations. As we get started, a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and you will receive this recording via an email after the webinar. And please feel free to ask questions at any time using the Q&A feature. We will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of this presentation. And lastly, a quick rundown for this webinar. I'm about to hand it over to Zane, who is going to explain to us the difference between Microsoft Office and Microsoft 365. And he's also going to explain to us how using Teams and Outlook is more secure than using, say, for example, a Gmail as your company's email. Then Paul is going to talk to us about OneDrive, SharePoint, and Forms, and how these softwares and applications can help you stay more productive throughout your day. And I will discuss how CoPilot, OneNote, and Planner can actually help you save money when utilizing correctly. And then we'll go to the Q&A. So now I'm going to hand it over to Zane, who will explain to us the difference between Microsoft Office and Microsoft 365. Zane?
All right, thank you, Alina. Yeah, we'll run through kind of the base here, the difference between our traditional Microsoft Office licensing and our Microsoft 365 licensing. So first of all, our traditional licensing that, you go buy at Best Buy or something like that, it's a one-time purchase. There's also no upgrade option. So if you want to upgrade to the latest and greatest features of, Word or Excel or PowerPoint, you have to then buy a new license. Microsoft 365, on the other hand, is subscription-based. That could be either monthly or yearly, and it's always up to date. So anytime there's new improvements to the applications from Microsoft, you just automatically get those updates and those new efficiencies that are built in there. One of those things that we see right now is AI. So with your traditional one-time purchase of Microsoft Office, you do not have any of the artificial intelligence benefits that are built in and integrated with all of the apps. The other piece of it as well is you only get like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, get Outlook and OneNote. So it's nice, but you don't get that full suite of applications that we'll kind of be going over here today. And then also, of course, you don't get the artificial intelligence benefit with CoPilot that's built into Outlook and Teams and really all the applications throughout Microsoft. And you'll see that here in a little bit. Also, a big piece is no cloud storage. So you don't have the ability to use OneDrive and SharePoint with that traditional one-time purchase licensing of your Microsoft Office, which is very beneficial. It can keep you from having to use thumb drives or buy external hard drives. And then you have to keep track of those things, of course. And then also, one key piece of this is you can get to that information anywhere at any time. And, Paul will be talking about that as well. And with your Microsoft 365 subscription, you get 1 terabyte of cloud storage. So it's plenty of storage for a majority of people, and you can access it anytime, anywhere, and you're able to share it with all of your team members very easily. And we'll talk about that as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk about Teams. which is something most people have probably heard of. Obviously started taking real effect or footing during COVID, which I'm sure we all remember. But if you're using Zoom or any other virtual meeting platforms, Teams could replace the need for those. So you could get rid of that expense if you already have Teams with your Microsoft 365 subscription. It's also a collaboration tool. So you could replace Slack or other collaboration apps. And really, it's made to maximize communication within an organization. No matter how big or small, there's a lot of things that you can use within Teams that's going to maximize collaboration. Even if, thinking about here, we're not huge or anything, but if I need to speak with our CEO, Teams actually, has a status indicator to let people know whether or not someone is busy. So if he's red, I know not to walk up to his office and, potentially interrupt a meeting or a call that he's in. And then also I probably don't want to go ahead and call him. I should probably just send him a message and see if he's available, or let him know that I need to talk to him whenever he's free. You can also create groups, like we have a sales team group where we can put all of the information that the sales team needs to know in one place. It also integrates with your Outlook calendar. So, you're able to see all of your Teams meetings that are scheduled within your Outlook calendar. So it's very helpful. It even sends you some reminders. We'll talk about that in the next slide. And you can easily share and collaborate on files in Teams. Like for us with our sales team channel, we actually have an Excel worksheet that is shared as a living document. Anybody can go into it that's in the sales team and update, their numbers, how many meetings they've had, how many presentations they've had, those types of things. So everybody can be on the same page all together all the time. And we don't have to, be calling back and forth constantly throughout the week to keep all these numbers updated. They're just always there. It's a living document and it's easily shareable. And we'll talk a little bit about Outlook, as once again, a lot of people are probably familiar with this. Outlook is the email feature provided through Microsoft. It replaces the use of like G Suite accounts. If we still have a professional email through G Suite, which we've run to people who do, it could replace the need for that, because you could use a full G Suite with Google Docs and forms and everything and just get rid of Microsoft altogether. But we found, me and Paul, through the years of doing this, is 90% of people who are using those G Suite accounts are still using the Microsoft Office applications. And then, obviously there's a little bit of expense there that doesn't need to take place if they were just using Microsoft 365. And then also you don't have the integrations between your Outlook and Teams and all those collaboration tools to just automatically connect and integrate with Word and Excel and PowerPoint to easily share and collaborate on documents with your teams. It integrates with Teams, like I mentioned, so that way you can see all your meetings that are scheduled on your Outlook calendar. It will also send you a reminder, like for today, 15 minutes before this meeting started, it sent me a reminder to let me know, hey, in 15 minutes, you have this webinar. Be ready. Go use the bathroom, get a drink, all that, so we're ready to go. It also offers much better security than free accounts. A lot of people are also using, Gmail accounts, Yahoo accounts, God forbid, still an AOL account. They're using those free accounts, and it offers much better security if you're using the Outlook platform through Microsoft. Obviously, we have the calendar, which is very nice. You can also share that calendar with your team members as well. So, like for me, I have a shared calendar with Paul and our CEO. So that way I can see, like, if I need to schedule a meeting with a potential client next week and I need Paul there, I need our CEO there, I can make sure that they are available before I schedule that meeting. I don't have to be on the phone and be like, oh, well, I have to check with them. Let me get back with you. I can just go ahead and look at the calendar. There's also task tracking, so you can apply yourself some tasks for the week or for the month, and it will, keep you honest. Everybody needs that every now and again to kind of see how you're doing with the tasks that you wanted to complete for that week or for that month or that day. It also gives you the ability to manage and own all of the emails in your organization, which is a very key piece. If you're using those free email accounts, you don't actually own those. If you're using a Gmail or a Yahoo, you don't actually own those. If Yahoo decided next week that they're going to stop doing email, they could do that, and you would just be out of luck, essentially. The other key piece of that is if you have an employee, like here, for example, if I was just using a Yahoo or email account for all of my interactions with our potential clients, and I decided to leave, I would be taking that email with me. So all of the communication that I have with our potential clients or with our clients, it would still be coming to me. I could say whatever I wanted to back to them, and it would look like someone at Netronom is responding that way, even though it's not. And then obviously I could take those potential clients with me as well. So if you're using your Outlook professional email, you own those emails for one. And so they'll always be there, they're always secure. But also if somebody leaves, you still have that email. You can have all the emails forwarded to whoever those emails need to be forwarded to. So that way you can still maintain all the communication that was going to that mailbox. Another key piece of making sure your Outlook is set up properly. We've even run into people who are using Outlook, but they have these vanity emails. They have info at, they have accounts payable at, marketing at, and whatever their company name is, and they're paying for those emails. Where if you're using Microsoft Outlook correctly, you don't have to pay for those vanity emails. We can set it up properly so that way you have 2 or 3 people that need to be in that chain, in that inbox, and they just get sent to their email. So that it's a very nice piece of the Outlook features that a lot of people take advantage of, is those vanity emails. And I will go ahead and hand it over to Paul. He's going to talk a little bit about OneDrive.
Great, Zane. Make sure I share my screen out here. Give me 1 second. Okay, you should be able to see OneDrive. Zane, can you see that up there? Make sure.
Yep, I got it.
All right, awesome. So hey, just before we get started, can I see you raise a hand at the top of your list there? You should have an option to raise your hand. How many people are familiar with using OneDrive or have touched OneDrive before? Okay, so very good. So we've got a few of us, several. Awesome, great. All right, so let's talk a little bit about OneDrive. OneDrive is Microsoft's storage solution that allows you to store, share, sync your files. They can be on your local device and in the cloud at the same time. This is typically how we like to set it up for all of our clients that we have at Netronom. That way, in the event that you can't get to the internet, you can still get to your files locally on your machine. So that's one of the great advantages I like about the tool. Actually have that on multiple devices, across all of your devices, mobile app, or mobile phone, even an iPad. You can have those on several devices. So it's really flexible as far as that goes. It does have that seamless integration. And that's one thing that you're going to hear us talk a lot about today, is that all of these apps that we're talking about have really good integration with the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem or platform. So when you see us talking about one application, you can be assured that it has some ties into other applications. For example, OneDrive ties into SharePoint. Whenever you share a file from OneDrive, it actually moves that over to SharePoint. And I'm going to give you some visual perspectives of that as well as we go on through here. So strong security. Strong security is very important nowadays. We have to have everything be locked down tight. So Microsoft takes best effort approach to keep all of their applications safe. And that's what we want to see. We want to see these applications have things such as multi-factor authentication. And in order for you to get to your email or get to the chat or the Teams or the OneDrive, you need to have that second level of defense in order to get there, just to verify your identity and make sure you are who you are. It comes with generous default storage. So as you heard Zane mention earlier, each license will come with 1 terabyte of storage. Now, that is pooled for your organization. So in your organization administrative console, if you had 10 people in there, you would multiply that 10 times the 1 terabyte. You actually have 10 terabytes for your organization. So what that means is I could be using 2.5 terabytes. Zane can be using 0.5 terabyte. Alina could be using 4 terabytes, as long as we don't exceed that 10 terabyte. And of course, they also offer plans to expand upon that 1 terabyte per user as well. So we don't want you to think that you're limited by the 1 terabyte or the number of staff members that you have as well. Okay. I'll show you a little bit about that, what that looks like on the screen. So if we're looking at my OneDrive, this is my particular OneDrive here. This is on my local desktop. this shows all of the files or folders that I have that are in my OneDrive. These devices are all synced to the cloud. So you can see how I've got syncing on some of them and some of them don't. Some of them are shared, some of them are not. It just depends on how you want to work with your folders and your files. Of course, you can apply permissions on sharing and things of that nature too. So a little bit of stuff that we won't dive deep into today, but it does give you that ability to make sure that only the people you want to see your documents and your files can see them. You know, whether that be collaborate on them, make changes, or just view them, not be able to print them. We've got a lot of flexibility in the security settings for sharing sharing folders and files. So if you look at that, you'll notice that this structure here, my OneDrive structure, is identical to the one that I see in the web application. So if I don't have my laptop or my desktop with me, and I just go to metronom-mysharepoint.com/my, I see all those same files that are on my desktop as well. And they're all in the same format. The sharing, the information there, they're all there. You can see that OneDrive has some very powerful features. You know, we've got home. I won't go to all these tabs because we do have some client information here that I do need to protect. But we can go and list all of the files just by the ones that I've shared. We can, have favorites. You can see when we talk about that seamless integration, down here, you see Sales Team and Metronom Team Site. These are actually SharePoint sites. So if I was to click on either of these, we would immediately be moved into SharePoint. And it would start showing that intranet stuff that we have in SharePoint. All right, get back to my presentation here. So one of the other things that we want to talk about today is SharePoint and how that's related to all of the other applications that we're going to be using. So SharePoint helps your team create and manage content within an internal website. Essentially, that's what it is. It's a website just like any that you go to on the internet, except it's internal to your organization. You can have things in there such as groups and teams, separate areas, news. You can have workflows. You can have lists, spreadsheets. It's really all inclusive. All of the data that your organization is going to be using is going to be within this SharePoint site once it's set up completely. All right, so it gives you that ability to organize all that content as well, apply permissions. It does improve that collaboration and productivity within your organization. And I know I skipped this, but can I see a share of hands of how many have used or have touched SharePoint? This one I expect to see less people raising their hands on this one, but I'm curious. Okay, we see a couple. Very good. As I expected, this is one application that we don't see really being utilized by a lot of companies, especially small medium businesses. It really is an effective tool, you guys, for collaborating and improving your productivity. I will say with any application, there is going to be a learning curve. So with SharePoint, it's probably of all of the products that we're going to look at today, it probably has the steepest learning curve. Now, with that said, it's not that bad. I have actually gone through here, created some content and some other things, and it's definitely doable. We've got a lot of resources out there nowadays. CoPilot is one. Alina's going to cover that after my slides are finished, and that'll give you a good idea of how we can actually, create these SharePoint sites with a little bit of help from CoPilot. So just to give you a little idea about how that works, if we're looking at SharePoint, we have this internal website. So this is only internal. We can't see this really from the outside unless you're part of the organization, right? So we have the ability to create sites. You can see that we've got our sales team here. If I was to click on this, this would show us all things sales team. It would show us all of our documents that we've shared. It would show you all of the forms and all of the lists and workflows and schedules, and even shows you all of your messaging that you've had within your team for that sales team. Any meetings you might have that team might have had will be in there as well. So it's really a valuable tool as far as organizing that content. We have news that we can put in there. We can updates, policies. You can have an HR section that has all your policies and procedures as well. So it really is an all-inclusive solution to help your organization manage all of the content and the data that you guys work with. Okay. You can see that it does replace, looking at, it has the ability to replace your Google Drive, your work zone, your workspaces, other applications out there. It has a lot more bells and whistles than most of those that I have mentioned. So it does, again, it has a little learning curve, but with any other application that we're working with, if you really wanted to, figure out how to create stuff, you could easily just click on CoPilot here. Once you're in CoPilot, you can ask the questions like, how do I create, and you can see I've already typed that up here. Once you type that out, CoPilot's going to spit it out there and let you know all that information. Go to SharePoint, create a site, click on a site. So a really useful tool, and I'm going to stop right there so I don't steal all of Alina's thunder, but CoPilot is a very good resource, especially when you're learning new applications within Microsoft. Okay. So the other things I want to talk about for SharePoint, it's customizable and scalable. So as your organization grows, your content grows, it scales with you. By default, your organization will be given 500 megabytes of default storage space. As that grows, you can just move to their next plan. So they have multiple plans that can go all the way up to petabytes. So it's very customizable and scalable. And as we talked about, it will improve that workflow and that productivity within your organization. I'm going to move over to forms. So forms is kind of new to me. This is one that I've been looking at. I've used things like SurveyMonkey and Google Forms and other applications to kind of do that. And when I've looked at the Microsoft application, it's a really good tool. One of the things that I really like about Forms is it's easy to use. It has the interface and everything to walk you kind of through that. I didn't even have to use CoPilot when I set up my first form just a couple of weeks ago, and it was very easy to do. I'm going to show you that in just a minute on how easy that is to get set up. But it has some other features in there as well. It allows you to create surveys. It allows you to create polls. If you wanted to find out how happy your staff members are, you could create a poll and just have that sent. You can send it in multiple ways. You can send it by email. You can have it embedded into your website. You can have QR codes. All of the ways that we can share information and links nowadays, Forms allows you to do as well. It has those built-in analytics. So whenever you're working with a poll or a survey and you have a recipient receive it and put in the information or respond to the questions, you're going to get instant feedback from that. And it's going to give you some trending. You'll have analytics that'll tell you, hey, we see this trend moving towards they're all answering the questions this way. Or, it seems to be that our graph is kind of moving in this direction. So you get a lot of information in your analytics and reporting from Forms as well. Seamless integration with your 365 apps, just as we've mentioned before. That's what we really like about the Microsoft platform, is they really integrated all of these apps in there. So when we talk about ways that you may be wasting money not using all of the features and applications that are in Microsoft, that's why we wanted to have this today. We wanted you to consider that some of the things that you may be using, like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey, might be able to be replaced by Forms, something that you're already paying for. And that's kind of what we're trying to get at today. So real-time feedback, as I mentioned, it's very versatile. Accessibility is easy, sharing it, and then of course you can collaborate on all these documents. The one that I've recently created, my security officer and I, our security officer and I have been working on a document that lets people report, instances where we might have an issue. And I'm going to kind of look at those right now. So this is your basic Forms website. If you were to go here, we could create, we could create a new form, or we could do a new quiz. So if we went to new form, it's going to ask you, like, is it a choice form? Do you just want to have a text form or rating? You have options here. So when we go back and look at my particular forms that I've created, I can come down here. Here's one of mine, incident report form, the one I was talking about that our security officer and I have been working on. This allows you to respond or report an incident. If we had some sort of incident, we can report that. And, if we preview that, we can look and see, dates. What date did the incident happen? When did you input the information? Who was it reported by? These forms are very intuitive as you go through and build the form. So as people would reply to these forms, you would get emails, or you would be notified that users have actually went in here and made some put some questions out in there, if that makes sense. And of course, you can look at it at the mobile side as well. So Microsoft Forms has a lot of good things about it that help you create forms, quizzes, surveys, polls, those kind of things for your staff, or even people outside of your organization. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give control over to Alina. She's going to cover a couple of other things we've got.
All righty. Paul, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. CoPilot.
Awesome. All righty. Well, great. Thank you so much, Paul, for that introduction of CoPilot as we step into it here. So what is CoPilot? I'm sure, especially the beginning of 2025, you have heard something about artificial intelligence or AI. I'm sure you've heard of ChatGPT, maybe Google Gemini. Um, this is Microsoft's version is Copilot. So Copilot is an AI chatbot and it provides real-time intelligence which enables users to complete tasks more efficiently. So how does it do that? Content creation, as Paul had just shown us on Copilot, that create or teach me how to create a SharePoint form. Anything like that, Copilot is able to help you create. Another example would be a email. Say, for example, you have a very sensitive topic that you're trying to address through an email, but you're not sure what type of verbiage to use, and you're really wanting it to sound professional. You can ask Copilot, can you create a professional email for XYZ about this topic? And it will generate content for you. I would suggest always proofreading whatever any AI chatbot, not just Copilot, but ChatGPT, Google Gemini, any of them, whatever they respond back with, that content that they give you, make sure you proofread it just in case, because sometimes, it's not often, but sometimes you'll get some slight grammatical errors on emails or maybe some facts that it's gathered from the web that aren't technically correct. So again, you're going to want to just double check what it says before sending it out, especially if it's a very important email to a customer, for example. And you're able to collaborate with other Microsoft apps with Copilot. And I think this is an advantage of Copilot because I'll get into it in just a little bit, an integration with Outlook and how Copilot, you're able to use Copilot straight within Outlook as opposed to using ChatGPT, copying and pasting, and then trying to put it in Outlook, or if you have a Gmail account, trying to use those. This helps you allow to be more productive. And you'll see just on the right side the image of what Copilot looks like, and at the bottom where you would put, can you create an email? We do recommend asking in the form of a question. So for Copilot, saying, can you create this email with this topic in a professional tone? That is kind of how Copilot wants you to speak to it, is by asking it a question. And so some integrations with Microsoft apps. Teams, for example, it provides insights and summaries of your meetings, which can include decisions made and suggested next steps. So that's very beneficial to have. And again, going back to Outlook, for example, if you are creating an email, a new email, when you select new email in Outlook, there will be right in the body of the text, it will say draft with Copilot. And so right then and there, you're able to create content with Copilot within Outlook, as opposed to using ChatGPT, getting on a different browser, Googling ChatGPT or however you have it, and then saying, can you create this email? Copying and then having to go back to Outlook or Gmail account and pasting it to your email. This makes it just so much less of a hassle to deal with. And then we also have Word, and these are just four that I wanted to highlight. There's so many other ways that you can integrate Copilot with Microsoft apps, but I thought that these would be the four main ones that we would want to highlight. And so Word, it helps you create articles. It helps you create reports and other documents by you providing prompts to it. And PowerPoint, Copilot can generate presentations with content and speaker notes based on your inputs. All righty, we're going to get into OneNote. OneNote is as simple as it sounds. It is a note-taking app. It provides a single place for all of your notes. So I'm not sure how many people like to use a physical notebook, maybe some sticky notes on their desk. Your office might seem kind of crazy with all the paperwork in it. But it's very hard to stay organized like that. And so this is where OneNote comes in handy, because Not are you having to look through file cabinets and say, well, January's meeting notes, where did I put those? Oh, did I accidentally throw them away? Or, oh, maybe I spilled coffee on it and now my boss wants to see those notes. So it's not that professional. And this way, you're able to take all of your notes and combine them into one platform. And you can even take, say, handwritten notes that maybe from December's meeting that you're like, man, I didn't know about OneNote until this webinar, and I'd like to go back and I wish I had my previous notes in OneNote. You're able to do that. You can have handwritten text into typed text. You can also search and find important notes rather quickly. So instead of thinking, did I take those notes in this journal or is that the journal at home that I did that? You're able to look in, just type in the search bar and find those notes rather quickly. Another great advantage is you can access OneNote on any mobile device. So let's say, for example, you are about to board a plane and your boss says, he needs access to January's meeting notes. Well, you're able to just get on the OneNote app on your mobile device and share those straight to him in a matter of seconds, as opposed to delaying the reaction of, well, that journal's in the office or I'm not home at the moment, so let me send those to you in the next couple days. So it really does help you be more efficient and productive. Some competitors of OneNote would be Evernote and NoteLedge. And so here you'll see on the right side an example of what OneNote is. And so how can it improve productivity and help you save money? Well, there's tags in organization. So OneNote, it allows you to tag words and phrases, which makes it easy and you're able to keep track of everything and find information rather quickly. Again, going back to the search bar, typing in the title and there, it's right there, as opposed to you spending hours trying to find what journal, what notebook you put those meeting notes in. You can also have SharePoint integration. You can share your notebooks with SharePoint team sites, enabling collaboration and document management within your team. This goes back to wanting to be able to send the documents, the meeting notes to your boss. You're able to share them through SharePoint. You can also import and export the notes taken within OneNote. Say, for example, you want to print out those notes. It's very easy to export and put them into Word, Excel, or even a PDF file. And the last, multimodal input, I found this very interesting because OneNote supports audio and video content. So this allows you to capture information in various formats. You can't typically do that on a physical notebook. You might be able to, with tape and some scissors, cut out a picture and an image and place it in your notes, kind of like a scrapbook, but you definitely can't do a video content. So this allows you to truly integrate everything that has to do with that specific meeting into one place, and it can be shared within your team. And lastly, we have Microsoft Planner. It is a task and work management tool that helps you organize and manage your tasks, your projects all across Microsoft 365 apps. So again, you're able to create, assign, and track tasks. What I think is great about this is you're able to assign them. So if you have a team member that is in charge or responsible of creating or completing a specific task, you're able to assign them whatever that is. Maybe it's they need to create a social media post on X, Y, and Z. Well, you're able to assign them that specific task. And you can also track the tasks, which goes back into real-time dashboards. So you're able to see in real time and monitor the progress that is happening within Microsoft Planner. And you can streamline workflows with automation. Some competitors, you may have heard of Monday or possibly Trello. These do have free options. However, if you are wanting to use Monday or Trello within a business and have multiple seats, that is going to cost money. And again, why pay for something when you already have Planner available to you? And so again, you'll see over here on the right side, just an image of what Planner can look like, and it can vary. You can change the background color. It's really cool. I do recommend just to kind of go in there and test it out. And all of these features and all of these platforms, I do recommend going in, trying it out, testing it out yourself to see, is this a good fit for my business? If you're already paying for it, why not just go ahead and try them out? So Planner can boost productivity. Planner's task management features, they help you stay organized and on track, reducing the time spent on redundant tasks. And you're able to be cost efficient. By using Planner, built-in features, you can avoid paying for additional project management tools. It can also enhance collaboration. So Planner's collaboration features, they allow your team to work together more effectively, and that reduces the need for multiple communication tools. And again, going back to the real-time dashboards, you're able to access this planner and these dashboards in real time. So that allows you to monitor progress and make informed decisions promptly, which does save you in return money and resources. All right, so we have about 5 minutes left for any questions. I know that was a lot, but again, feel free to upload your questions in the Q&A chat function. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to do that if you would like. We do have a few questions. Paul, I'm going to give you this one right here. It says, how can I identify and eliminate redundant software subscriptions to save money for my business?
Alina, that's a great question, and that's what we're kind of talking about here today, right? So, whenever you're going to be looking at a new application, the first thing that we want to do is we want to do a qualified audit. We want to look and see what we are currently using throughout our organization. So you want to have somebody that's experienced with application specifics, like web-based applications, on-premise applications, the different licensing models. We need to have somebody that knows about doing those types of applications and their licensing, so we can make sure that we cover all those bases. So at Netronom, what we do is we use a remote monitoring tool that actually goes in there and audits all of the PCs and servers within the environment and gives us all of the analytics and feedback about what applications are installed, their license types, how many seats there are of that, etc. So definitely you need to have that qualified audit by an experienced person or a company to do that for you.
Great. Another question we have, Zane, I'll let you answer this one, is how do I transition from my Gmail account to a new Outlook email?
Yeah, another great question, and one we get quite often, to be honest. We know a lot of people who've been using a Gmail account, and we'll switch them over to an Outlook account, and it's not as scary as it sounds. I know a lot of people have been using those Gmail or Yahoo accounts for a long time. They've been using them for 7-8 years, or as long as they've had the business, and they don't want to not get those emails because they know people are still going to be using that just because it's ingrained in them, and they know they can reach them at that email. But it's pretty easy. You can just set up your new email with Outlook, and then with your Gmail account, you can have it forwarded over to your new email, or you can also set up like an auto response, like, hey, thanks for reaching out, but my email is this now. And typically we see within about 6 months, just about everybody you've been conversating with in the past, that they have learned of your new email, and they're pretty much fully implemented of their new Outlook email. And of course, we do that for all of our clients, but you can do it yourself. There's plenty of tutorials. You can use CoPilot even, and it'll walk you through it. So
Great. Well, that is all the time we have. We do want to thank you all for joining us today, and we appreciate your time and participation. Please keep an eye on your email with the recording of today's session. We will also be announcing the topic of our February webinar soon, so definitely stay in tune for that as well. And I wanted to go ahead and give you guys some time, just if you have any questions, feel free to take a screenshot of this slide, and you can contact us at any time. Again, we know that this was a lot to take in, and you might have a question later on and wish that you would have asked that. feel free to email any of us at any time, and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you. So once again, we want to thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
all.